Banks in 1920 and a woman who happens to be my grandmother. I'm Krista Marino. That story coming up.
You're watching Channel 10 Eyewitness News at 6 with Dwight Lauderdale and Christy Kruger.
Who have seen it the way that one longtime resident has. Reporter Krista Marino is live in one of Miami's oldest neighborhoods to explain all of this. Krista?
That's right, Dwight. I'm standing near Spring Gardens. It's very close to the river. This area is very special to me and my family because my great-grandmother, my grandmother, and my mother all lived in this area. It's very close to the river. Take a look behind me. The Miami River at 4 miles is just the shortest U.S. commercial in the United States. But I tell you, there's a never-ending list of stories that my grandmother told me, and tonight we want to share them with you.
It's going to be an 8 to 10 year project.
Sediments in it that need to be cleaned up for
But over the years, it's become a very degraded center.
While the city goes round and round on what to do with the Miami River, the river sits stagnant. Its bottom littered with garbage, its banks filthy from fuel and years of neglect. Hard to believe that years ago, this waterway was known as the Freshwater River, a stream of rare beauty where mangroves thrived and manatees frolicked.
It's like Brigadoon. It's enchanted when you get over the bridge because of the memories.
The memories are vivid for my grandmother because she played on these banks as a little girl in 1920 under the canopy of one of Miami's oldest neighborhoods, Spring Garden.
Daddy built every brick that went into the house.
I followed Grandma back to that old house, the one on North River Road, her room with a view.
The river room, because we could see the river.
And she saw a lot.
They would come down to go to the dime store, and they would either paddle down in canoes.
As a youngster, Grandma watched Miccosukee Indians glide down the clear water.
They had beads up to their chin.
And she and her brother, my great-uncle Gardner Mulloy, didn't think twice about taking a dip.
Gar used to swim with the manatees, and he'd catch a ride on a barge and with the man yowling.
I had a pretty good pace in those days. Before it was dredged, we used to go up to 12th Avenue Bridge and dive in and come back with a current.
Uncle Gar still watches the current from his home here. In 1932, he watched it dwindle when the river was dredged, made wider and deeper, some say stripped of its natural beauty.
When they dredged it before, the sand was white. It wasn't real clear, but the sand was white.
The bottom was white and the river rich in wildlife in the early 1900s.
Oh yeah, we had a lot of alligators, but...
And some fascinating neighbors too. One of them, Marjorie Stoneman Douglas, the woman who worked for the Herald and who would later become the mother of the Everglades.
But we'd sit on the curb, Gar and I, and listen to the typing that she did at night.
During the day, they fished for mullet and brim along this little bridge where the two once dashed across.
We used to come home from school, and Gar and I would race across the ledges, you know, of course, until Mother and Daddy discovered it.
For a kid, the river was worth tumbling into back in 1920. It was clear and clean. It was the future of the city, but it's been neglected.
The only problem is the filth.
But Grandma says she still sees beauty when she watches the sun reflect off the Miami River. This is her childhood, her memories.
It's a lovely place.
My Uncle Gar actually learned how to play tennis in Spring Gardens, and he went on to be the oldest player in Wimbledon in a doubles match. So the community here in Spring Garden is actually going to name part of it after him. Of course, he's happy about that, but I think his real dream is to head back to 1920, see the river as it was. Maybe, just maybe one day, my grandmother and Uncle Gar will be able to do just that. At the Miami River, Krista Marino, Channel 10 Eyewitness News.
A lot of people were sharing that dream. A terrific surprise and piece there. Thank you, Krista. You know, plans to help revitalize Liberty City were unveiled today when Mayor Alex Pinellas attended a groundbreaking ceremony for a 200,000 square foot office complex. It's going to be built at the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Metro Rail Station on Northwest 27th Avenue. There will be several county offices located there.
Only the best for South Florida's finest.
Up next, a look at shiny new wheels for some officers.
As is often the case when we're dry down here, somebody else is getting the rain. Today is no exception. Much of the rain is falling in the nation's midsection. Farther north, it's snowing. I'm Don Noe. My forecast coming up next.